Ever like looked at a map and there's this like random place and you're
Yeah.
like, what is that place?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Today's deep dive is all about one of those places.
Okay.
Tuva.
Okay.
It's right in the geographical center of Asia, bordering Mongolia.
Wow.
And most people have probably never even heard of it.
I haven't.
Yeah, right. It was actually an independent nation for a bit.
Really?
Yeah, from 1921 to 1944, before being absorbed by the USSR, and now it's part of Russia.
Oh, wow.
Like a little piece of unwritten history.
Totally. Yeah, you don't hear about that every day.
So today we're going to really uncover this unique place for you.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's not like your typical tourist spot.
Right.
Our guide is going to be Michael Klein and his book, My Adventures in Tuva.
Okay.
We're going to be focusing on an excerpt about his first trip there in 2016.
Cool.
The book is really interesting because almost nothing has been written about what it's really like to be in Tuva.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so this is a really unique perspective.
That's cool.
And there's an ebook and even a free video guide on YouTube called Adventures in Tuva if you want to see more.
Oh, nice.
So today our mission is to like explore Klein's experiences, especially one event where he really thought he was going to die.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it'll give us some insight into the culture and like just the crazy stuff that can happen in a remote place like that.
I'm ready.
So, first of all, how does an American guy like Klein even end up in Tuva?
So his connection to Tuva is kind of fascinating.
Okay.
It wasn't like a travel thing or anything. It all started in 1999 after he'd been struggling with heroin addiction.
Oh, wow.
He was like 20 days into recovery, and he saw this documentary called Genghis Blues,
Okay.
and it totally changed his life.
Really?
Yeah, it was about this blind blues musician, Paul Pena, who learned Tuvan throat singing.
That's wild.
Yeah, and Klein says that movie saved his life.
Wow, music really can be powerful.
Absolutely, and he's been clean for 25 years now, so it was a huge turning point for him.
That's amazing.
So this wasn't just a passing interest in throat singing. He became obsessed.
Okay.
For those who haven't heard it, it's a really unique vocal technique where singers can make 2 or even 3 notes at the same time.
Whoa, wow.
It's this crazy combination of vocal cord constriction and like really precise manipulation of the vocal cavity.
Wow.
Like using their tongue and lips and jaw to make these sounds.
It's insane.
Yeah, it sounds otherworldly, almost like multiple instruments coming from one person.
I can't even imagine.
So Caleb Klein wanted to learn everything about it and the culture behind it.
So he went from discovering this music to actually connecting with the people who make it.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Over the years, he became friends with 2 of the biggest Tuvan throat singing groups, Hood Hurra 2 and the Alash Ensemble.
Cool.
He would drive hours to see them perform, and eventually he got really close with the Alash Ensemble.
Oh, wow.
He even hosted them at his house in New York when they were on tour.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he wasn't just a fan anymore.
Right.
He traveled with them, helped with their equipment, sold merch. He even called himself their head cheerleader.
He was all in.
So
So after years of being part of this musical community, he decides to go to Tuva.
Yep. In 2016, he finally made the trip.
It must have been a long journey.
Oh, yeah, it shows just how remote Tuva is.
Right.
First, a 10-hour flight from New York to Moscow, then a 5-hour flight to Abakan in the Republic of Khakassia,
Wow.
and then another 5 hours in a taxi to Kyzyl, the capital of Tuva.
That's a trek.
He even traveled with the father of Alash's manager who was going to see his grandkids.
What was it like when he finally got there?
You know, he experienced some serious culture shock.
That makes sense.
He talks about this contrast between the slow pace of life and this, like, underlying chaos.
What do you mean chaos?
Like, he was used to New York where everything is so scheduled,
Right.
but in Tuva time seemed to be perceived differently.
Oh, interesting.
Like, they would be waiting to do something and Klein would be like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
But they would just be doing random things, and then suddenly everyone would just get up at the same time without any words and be ready to go.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was like this unspoken understanding.
Huh. Almost like organized chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
So what about this event where he thought he was going to die?
Oh, yeah. So towards the end of his trip, Klein's musician friend wanted to take him to meet his brothers.
Okay.
They were nomads who herded horses, like 150 of them.
Wow, that's a lot of horses.
Right. They lived in a spring camp about an hour south of Kyzyl.
Okay.
So they started out on paved roads, but then
Yeah.
it turned into these rough dirt tracks.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Klein was impressed with how his friend navigated all the potholes and mud.
Sounds like an adventure.
On the way, they stopped in this village called Byhack to buy supplies.
Like what?
Rice, pasta, sugar, tea, you know, the essentials.
Uh-huh.
But what was really interesting was that the store used an abacus instead of a cash register.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it was this tiny detail, but it showed how traditional things still were in Tuva.
That's cool.
So finally they get to the nomad camp.
What was it like?
Well, Klein thought it would be a yurt, but it was this Russian-style log cabin with a metal roof.
Okay.
There was a big herding dog outside, and inside it was pretty basic.
Like what?
A cement wood-burning stove, simple beds, old couches, a really old non-working TV with rabbit ears, Very different from what he was used to.
I bet.
And then he met his friends, 5 brothers, who were all nomads and herded horses.
Okay, so a very different life.
Yeah, for sure.
Did they welcome him?
Oh yeah, right away they offered him sutug chai.
What's that?
It's traditional Tuvan milk tea with fresh milk tea leaves and a bit of salt.
Sounds interesting.
But there was a language barrier.
Oh, right.
Russian is the national language, but most people speak Tuvan.
Oh, okay.
Klein's friend could speak both plus English, but he didn't translate much of what the brothers were saying.
So Klein couldn't understand anything.
Not really, just when they asked about him directly.
Okay, so what happened with the meal?
About 30 minutes later, one of the brothers brings out this old bucket.
A bucket.
Yeah, and it was filled with grilled horse meat and horse guts.
Whoa.
Klein's an adventurous eater, so he was actually pretty excited.
Good for him.
But it was a really different dining experience.
How so?
No plates, no utensils, nothing.
Really?
One of the brothers took a piece of meat, cut a portion off with a knife, ate it, and then put the rest back in the bucket.
Okay.
Then he wiped his mouth with a towel and passed the knife and towel to the next person,
Wow.
and they all shared the same knife and towel.
That's intense.
When it was Klein's turn, he took a piece of meat and really liked it.
I bet that was a new experience for him.
Totally. He even tried the guts and said they tasted metallic.
So that's when things went south.
Yeah, so they were finishing up, and the brother next to Klein, this big guy, starts talking to him.
Oh.
He grabs Klein's shoulder, shakes it, and starts speaking really fast in Tuvan.
Did Klein understand?
No, he didn't know much Tuvan, so he just smiled and shook his head.
And the other brothers?
They were busy talking amongst themselves and didn't notice.
That must have been scary.
Yeah, Klein felt really isolated.
I can only imagine.
Then the brother switches to Russian, but Klein still didn't understand.
Oh, no.
And the brother was getting more agitated, like he thought Klein was ignoring him on purpose.
Yikes.
Then Klein sees that the brother is still holding the knife from dinner.
Still?
Yeah, and he's gripping it so tight his hand is shaking.
Oh, my gosh.
Nobody else seemed to notice, and Klein started freaking out.
I bet he did.
He realized he was in the middle of nowhere with no way to communicate, and this guy with a knife was getting angrier.
What did he do?
He says he had this moment where he just accepted his fate.
Wow.
He thought if he was going to die, at least it would be in this place he'd always wanted to visit.
A strange kind of peace.
Yeah.
But he didn't die.
No, he got really desperate and called out to his friend asking if everything was okay.
Okay.
His friend talked to his brother, and the brother let go of Klein's shoulder.
What a relief.
Then everyone started laughing.
Laughing.
Yeah, Klein's friend told him, "Yeah, everything's okay. My brother's crazy, but the good kind."
Crazy, but the good kind. That's a new one.
Right. But they didn't explain what the brother was actually trying to say.
So Klein was left wondering.
Yeah, and he noticed that Tuvans in general weren't big on giving detailed explanations.
That must have been frustrating.
It was, but then something really cool happened. As they were leaving, one of the brothers went to a storage shed and came back with a handmade riding crop.
Okay.
He gave it to Klein as a gift.
Wow.
Klein's friend explained that it was about 50 years old and had been used for herding.
Cool.
But in Tuvan culture, well-used riding crops are believed to have special powers.
Really?
Yeah, like they can ward off evil spirits.
Interesting.
Klein was told to hang it on his wall for protection.
What a gesture.
Klein says it's the most precious thing he brought back from all 3 of his trips to Tuva.
It's like a symbol of their acceptance of him.
Yeah, definitely.
So even after this crazy experience, he still loves Tuva.
Oh, yeah. He went back in 2017 and 2018 for even longer trips.
That's awesome.
He hasn't been able to go back since the war in Ukraine started, but he still calls Tuva a magical place.
So what are the big takeaways here?
Well, first, Tuva is a truly remote and unique place.
Definitely.
Klein's story shows just how different life can be somewhere that's not really touched by Western culture.
Right.
Second, it's super important to understand cultural differences, especially when you're in a new place.
That's true.
What might seem scary in one culture could be totally normal in another.
And communication is key.
Absolutely.
It sounds like that was a big part of Klein's fear.
Yeah, for sure.
And thirdly, Klein's passion for Tuvan throat singing led to these amazing friendships and this incredible journey. That's amazing.
It just shows how powerful music and human connection can be.
Totally.
And lastly, traveling to a remote place like Tuva can be full of wonder, but there's always the potential for misunderstandings.
Yeah, it's good to be prepared for anything.
Exactly.
Makes you think about your own travels, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced culture shock or some crazy event that changed your perspective?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We all have those moments.
If you want to learn more about Tuva, we highly recommend Michael Klein's book, My Adventures in Tuva.
And check out the Adventures in Tuva playlist on YouTube, too.
Yeah, you get to see the people and places we've been talking about.
It's amazing.
So here's a final thought.
Okay.
We live in a world where we think we know everything.
Right.
But Klein's story reminds us that there are still so many places and cultures out there that we don't know about.
That's so true.
It makes you want to go explore, doesn't it?
It really does.
Maybe experience some of that unwritten world for ourselves.
Yeah. Who knows what's out there?